This is Keyed In with Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. And now, here are your hosts, Max Rabin and Brent Jackson.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Keyed In podcast. I'm Max Rabin with my co-host Brent Jackson. What's up, Brent?
How are you, Max? Cold, that's how I am.
Yeah, it's cold today. It's not really very fun out there. Which is fine. So now we can just do our podcast for an hour and try to stay warm. Our guest today is Koki Adasi. I'm just going to jump right in. Koki's with Compass Real Estate here in Washington, D.C. Koki is very active with the Realtor Association as well, which is something we're going to get into. A lot of realtors, we all have to belong to a Realtor Association, but very few of us ever get too involved with the association. We just pay those dues, and that's how it goes. Koki, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Max and Brent. I'm doing great. You know, it's a beautiful day. We were just talking about the historic loss last night by the Wizards.
Yeah,
I'm recovering. I'm recovering from that. So
Koki, yeah, you have some history with basketball. Like, you grew up in the DC area, right?
Yep. Grew up in Rockville, Maryland. You know, big time basketball fan, as you can see. I've been playing since I was in second grade. Still play today. I played this morning at St. Albans, 5:45 run. We've had going for almost 10 years now, and
that's amazing.
Love the game.
Is that game
Is that daily?
It's every Wednesday and Friday, right?
Okay. Wednesday and Friday, you got it. Wednesday and Friday.
Okay.
Because we kind of dance around in the same circles, and I know this is a real estate podcast. We might take the first 30 minutes or so here and just dive right into like Colin Cowherd type topics here.
Hoop talk.
Yes, hoop talk. But you have a basketball court in your backyard. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How?
So
where do you live? Where do you live? You're in Chevy Chase, DC?
Yeah, I'm in Chevy Chase, DC. We have a pretty unusual lot. It's
okay.
An acre of land, and you know, growing up, a goal of mine was always, or I should say, a dream of mine was always to have a court at my house, and never had a hoop at my house. My neighbors did, and I was over at their houses all the time. And you know, my friends' parents, you know, hated me because I was always, you know, shooting over their cars when they parked on the hoop. But yeah, we bought this place, and you know, we had a chance to build a court. So I was like, you know, we got to take advantage of that.
So how does that work as far as like permitting? Is there anything you've got to do to get a basketball court in your backyard?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I had I think 4 visits with GCAAR because they weren't really sure how to go about permitting, you know, the project. But we finally got it done, and it was only about, I think, 11 days of work to build the court, but it took about 3 months because, you know, weather, you know, it's got to be, you know, it can't rain, and you know, the soil, you know, has to be the you know, right kind of I guess solidity, you know, of the soil, you know, to move it and whatnot. But we got it done, and it's awesome. I mean, my kids, myself, all their friends really enjoy.
It's unbelievable
using it.
Okay, so you're living the dream though to have a basketball court in your backyard. I said the reason I almost said tennis court is because I'm really into tennis now.
Yeah,
I played tennis as a kid, and then kind of stopped playing for a while, and I got back into tennis. Like, the idea of having a tennis court in my backyard that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate. If you're a sports fan and you're an athlete, to have the facility right there, you can do whatever you want. That's the best.
You just roll out of bed and, you know, go outside. It's right there.
Practice, and I love that, man.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to share that happened during the pandemic, which is you know, pretty amazing for me, is so I coached basketball probably 13 years ago at the Bullis School in Potomac. I was a volunteer coach for the JV and varsity for 3 years. Then got really busy with work, real estate, so I had to stop coaching, and I didn't coach until the first year of the pandemic. You know, all the kids are at home, quarantining, whatever, and it's like kids need to be outside doing something. So I decided to start coaching my son and seven of his friends here at the house. So we did it 3 days a week for an hour, just like the basic fundamentals of basketball. And then that turned into the next league that they were in, coaching them in that. And now I'm coaching a AAU team. So
wow,
something that, very passionate about, love doing. And it wasn't for the pandemic, who knows? I might be just selling real estate and not coaching at all. So
that's awesome. So you're coaching an AAU team?
Yeah. The team is called Pro Skills Basketball. It's actually a national brand. They're in about 15 cities across the country. And this was the first year in DC, and I was coaching the 9U team. And we're closing out our first year, which will end in February, and then March we'll have our tryouts for the second year. And
So
that's great.
where are the games being played at?
Games are all over Virginia, Maryland. We've played in Delaware. In a tournament right now. We're in a league that's in North Bethesda. So it's a pretty elite level of basketball, for youth, and the kids are really committed and work super hard and love the game of basketball. So it's a lot of fun.
Because I have an 8-year-old, he's into tennis, but I'm trying to get him into basketball. We just had our first game last week. It's in a league down in Alexandria. But if you're trying to get into the AAU route, like what would you recommend, or where would you go?
Yeah, so I think Pro Skills is a good place to look at. In Virginia, you have like Nova 94 is a good program. There's a couple others in Virginia. I can't think of the names right now, but you'd be surprised how many programs there are for youth basketball in AAU, and it's very competitive. I mean, I know things I was doing in second, third grade. These kids are light years ahead of that. So
that's awesome.
That's how everything is now.
Yeah.
So that's awesome because you're using your athletics and your history with athletics. You're in the community. I mean, that's the best. I mean, that's a really bringing it full circle like that. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, tell us. Okay, so you grew up in the area, and was there any how did you get involved in the real estate business after college? Did you just go right into real estate, or what? How did your career begin?
Yeah. So every story that I share with you all today will probably have a basketball spin to it.
Good. And we like that.
And so getting into real estate was directly from basketball. So, after graduating from Mount St. Mary's University, I was working at Clark Construction, doing accounting for two of the projects that they had. One was in Frederick, one was in Eastern Shore, and there were new developments that they were building. And I was playing basketball in a men's league in Rockville, and a teammate of mine, Sam Hassan, had been in real estate for I think about 12 years at that time. He was a bit older than me, and every game that I'd see him, he'd say, "Hey, Koki, you should consider real estate. I think you'd be good at it. Here's why." And I would listen to him, but not really take it too seriously. And then one game, he and I were talking, and he said that he was planning on retiring soon, and I was like, "Wait, you're only 30 years old, like I can retire, right?" So
wait a minute.
That really piqued my interest, and then I took him out to lunch. We went to Uno's in Bethesda on Wisconsin Avenue, no longer there, and he just told me how he got started in real estate, helping people buy and sell. He started investing in real estate, and I was like, it sounds really interesting. I think I might like that. So I got licensed in December of 2005. I joined his company in January of 2006. Worked there for about 5 months part-time, as I still have my job at Clark Construction. And I told my boss that I was planning to transition into real estate once I could save some money up in a year or so. And 5 months later, and I was a phenomenal employee. I was there all on time, worked super hard, never missed a day, never sick, kind of thing. And it's May. It's mid-May. I show up to the office. My boss was late every single day, always late, and I would have to cover for her and everything. And this one day, I get to the office and she's there, and I'm like, that's weird. She's on time. So I go sit down and log in, on my computer, and the login is not working. And I'm like, I've had this login password for a decade. This is my username and password.
Yeah.
And so it's not working. I go to her desk. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? Trying to get into our accounting system." And she's like, "Hey, Koki, why don't we go out for breakfast?" And I was like, "Huh? All right."
What's up?
Right, exactly. So we go to La Madeleine, right there, downtown Bethesda, and we sit down. And she's like, "We've been thinking about it, and we feel like now would be a great time for you to go into real estate full time. And so your position is being terminated." And I was like, "What?" So this is how bad it was, right? So I'm 23, I believe, at the time, and I'm like distraught. I'm like, my job is gone, right? My stable income and insurance, everything. So I like got up from the table, super upset, walked back to the office, got my stuff and left. And the following day I canceled my 401k and cashed it out. It was like $800 or something in it, right?
Okay.
paid the penalty of like 10%, and
Take
80,
that.
$80. Yeah.
and was like, man, like, now I'm like in the real world and now selling real estate full time. So I need to make it happen. And that was my like introduction into real estate, and I left. So when that happened, I left my friend's company. I hadn't sold any properties in that time frame, and joined Long and Foster. And in my first year in real estate, I sold 2 houses and made $7,000. So, it wasn't a sweet start to real estate for me.
So wait, was this, so you were saying you got licensed to, it's like 05, 06, like, so right before the Great Recession, like right before the bigger crash.
Yeah, like the market was still hot.
Yeah.
Everyone who I knew was like, man, we're crushing it. We're selling,
Yeah.
all these homes over asking price, et cetera. And like, I was just trying to like find a client and trying to figure my way. And
yeah,
it was a slow start.
Yeah, it's a tricky little time period right there to get started.
Yeah,
for sure.
And 7,000. So are you living with family, friends, or
Yeah.
how does the living situation work on 7,000 a year?
Yeah. So I was at home with my parents, and I still wanted to have like a young adult lifestyle, going out and having fun and charging up credit cards. And I had a Nissan Maxima that had a pretty high car payment. And so I was like living, just like day to day trying to figure out like, all right, I remember going to the office, right? Every morning at like 7 a.m. I get there really early, start prospecting. And before I would like leave the house, I would literally like count change to have enough money to hit up the dollar menu at McDonald's, right?
Wow.
And like, chicken nuggets or whatever. And it's so funny looking back on that because like now I don't eat meat. I haven't had McDonald's in like over 10 years. You know what I mean? Like so much has changed, but at the start, like I was grinding. I was grinding and really had no money.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
So when did it click for you? So 7,000 the first year, 2 houses at a certain point, like for everybody, right? I mean, like it's interesting. There's a common theme with a lot of agents that we've talked to. It's grassroots, ground up, similar situation to you. And then they just, at a certain point, it just clicks and they knock it out of the park and they're a huge success. So when and what did it for you?
Yep. So, in that first year, I tried everything, right? Calling FSBOs, door knocking, you name it. And I realized that like the first 2 deals I had were through direct connections, people who already knew. And my first big sale, I sold a property that was over $1 million, which is my second transaction. And the way it happened was like so beautiful. So I was at the Rio Sport and Health in Gaithersburg playing basketball. I did every single day at lunchtime. And there was a big attorney who played with us. He was main counsel for the hospital over there, Shady Grove Hospital. And I'm talking to a friend about like real estate, what I'm doing. And I like noticed him like kind of like eavesdropping on our conversation. So I turned to the guy. I'm like, hey, Ken, what's up? Start talking to him as well. He's like, yeah, we're thinking about, buying a place and stuff. And why don't you send some listings? I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what areas, what's your price range? He's like, these neighborhoods, no price range, just send us some stuff. I was like, okay. Send him properties. And like a month later, he's like, hey, we saw this one house. We want to go see it. I was like, cool. So we go see the house. They love it. They want to make an offer on it. And I'm like, okay, like, what do I do now? Right. Like, calling my mentor that I had at the time to help guide me through it. And they were like, we have a house too that we got to sell. We were just going to use the person that helped us, buy that property. She knows the neighborhood really well and stuff like that. And I was like, almost like not going to ask for the business, but I was like, would you mind if I helped you with the sale? And they were like, sure. It was like, no, like interview, nothing. It was like, sure, you're our guy.
That's awesome.
So, I turned into, it was like $1.7 million, worth of business, and gave me a ton of confidence. And, for me, the one thing that I saw that clicked was like, rather than focusing on like everything, open houses, the FISBOs and everything else, it's like focus on folks who already know me, like me, and trust me, and like through them I can like build a business. And so that's been like really like the core of my business over the last 16 years, and it's paid off pretty well.
So you had a pretty this is kind of in the realtor world, the 30 under 30 award. You were one of the 30 under 30. What year was that?
So that was in 2008. So after my second year in real estate, and I'm one who believes in manifestations, law of attraction, focus on something and it's going to happen kind of thing. And in my first year in real estate, I got the magazine, like that issue was like June of 06, I guess. And, saw the people who were, part of it. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. They're doing amazing things with their businesses and in the community. And, and I envisioned myself like being on the cover of the magazine. And so every day that I was in office, I pull out the magazine from my drawer, I look at it and like visualize being like on the cover of the magazine. And so, there's three criteria for being selected. One is sales, volume, obviously. 2 is association involvement, and then 3 was community service. And community service is something that has been huge for me my entire life. My parents, had me and my siblings doing everything you could imagine at a very young age, and so for us, it was just kind of part of life. And when I was first in real estate, I was volunteering at the YMCA, Youth and Family Services in Silver Spring. And I was doing they had like a Big Brother program, ended up joining their board, was on their board for like 9 years there. And so my manager, along with Foster, said, hey, you should consider getting involved with the association. I looked at all the committees that they had, and I was like, oh, community service, that's a good one for me. So started being involved with that committee, which was interesting because one of the first people that I met on that committee was Nicole Grainer, who worked at Cornerstone Montgomery. And today, I've helped her with multiple transactions with people who work at that organization, all through serving on a committee, at a GCAAR. So like that kind of helped me, start my business. And I think having that background helped me get selected for 30 under 30.
It's amazing. I mean, because that's a national like recognition. So I know a lot of people apply for that. It's not something I've kept up with in the most recent years, but I remember when I was a younger agent, I would get that magazine and see the same thing, and I didn't do any manifestation, so it didn't come to fruition. But that's like really smart, because that is definitely something you can put on your resume later, and it's especially in the brokerage community, which you are an extremely important member of, like that is a big deal.
Yeah.
So nice work.
Thank you.
It's impressive. I mean, and then keep rolling along here. So at a certain point, like maybe it's with your background and your family upbringing, but you got involved early with the GCAAR Association. Is that correct?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the community service committee was my first introduction into association like world. And then from there it was like, oh, this is a great committee. I've learned a lot, met a lot of people. What else can I do within the association? And at the time they had a rookie society, which is for like newer agents in the first 4 years in the business. Ended up joining that. And then after the 30 under 30, and getting this like recognition, people are now asking you for your expertise, or to chime in on a social media class, right? Like I used to do a class on Facebook all the time, and like I hate Facebook now. I like never use.
I don't even look at it.
My last post on Facebook was probably like last year, around this time, and like Instagram I love, but Facebook I'm not on at all. But so the more that I started, speaking at different events and conferences, my name just, really got out there, and I was asked to serve in like different leadership roles. And so after years of being on committees, I then joined the board for GCAAR, and then that slowly rolled into, well, hey, you've been on the board now for a few years. We think you should step up into like leadership on the board, maybe secretary, maybe this and that. So that's how I got, kind of moved up the ranks, and ultimately was the president of GCAAR in 2019. And a lot of this obviously takes time, away from like your actual business of selling real estate.
Right.
And, being that we talked a lot about basketball and like, sports, like everything that I do flows through a team. Right. And so I don't succeed by myself. Right. Like I have a real estate team. I got my team here at the house, right. My family, any committee that I've served on, or the board that I've been on, there's always been a team involved. Right. And so you learn how to manage your time very well, but to work with people on the team so that they can all, kind of manage, different parts of the process.
Okay, so you were on a committee, and then you were sort of maintaining this involvement with the GCAAR, which is the Greater Capital Area Association of Realtors. That's our local realtor association. For agents who don't understand what the association even really does, I mean, the association, when I first started, the association would be the place where it's like, you have to be a member, you're paying your dues. This is a place where you're going to do some continuing education.
Mm-hmm.
They used to actually manage the awards for the entire DC area. They would have sales awards, which now we just do those in the company as sort of just like a recognition thing for different people in the company. It's not. It's strange how all of this has evolved over the last 20 years, I guess is what it's been. But you tell us, like, what is it like to be involved with the Realtor Association in this area? Like, it adds more hours, like you were saying, and most agents are, we're a little selfish with our time. We're obviously out here trying to earn the money. We're trying to help our clients. We're trying to learn all the new things about our trade. What does it add to your schedule to be part of that association?
Sure. So I think to start, I'll say what the association does as a whole, right? So, as realtors, we all have like a lockbox system that we use and cooperate together with, and the association like manages all of that for us. All the forms that we use that come through, zip forms, they manage that as well. Anytime we have legal changes or policy changes that impact our business and forms, the association is involved with that. So there's a lot that kind of governs what we do in our day-to-day business that the association is involved with. And when you're a part of a committee or a board, you have a voice at the table. And that's how I looked at it. And in terms of like the actual time involvement, if you're on a committee, depending on which committee it is, if it's the forms committee, it's much more time is required to be on that committee. And depending on which subcommittee that you're part of, you might spend, say, 2 to 10 hours a month, volunteering. Like none of those roles are paid. It's all volunteer positions. Even the president, of the association. On the board, you probably have, again, a few hours a month that you're investing, into the association. There's different meetings that pop up. There's a press conference here, or there's Washington Post has a reporter that wants to speak on, VA financing. Can you step in and, speak about that? So, different opportunities that while it's taken time, there's been a huge benefit, to me and others, who have been involved, from like press. I mean, I've been in multiple, publications because of my roles within the association, and it gives me opportunity to voice my thoughts and opinions on different things happening in the real estate world, and people see that, and see it, and they see you as an expert, as a resource, so I don't regret any of the time that I spent, being involved. And this is actually the first year that I'm completely off of any, like, all committees and boards for local or National Association of Realtors in 14 years. So I'm happy to have like a little break right now.
That's awesome. A couple follow-up questions to that. While you're serving as the president, because I'm assuming that's probably the most time-consuming of whether you're on a committee or the board. Being the president, is that the most time-consuming of what you've done in the past?
Yeah, it certainly was, and I actually had some like major concerns before agreeing to move up, into that position. And when you look at it, most folks who serve in that role, they're older agents, right? I mean, they've been on for say 30 years, 20 years plus.
maybe they're not in that aggressive phase of like building their business. Right.
If they have kids, their kids are older, the kids are out of school, et cetera. So again, like the reason why I agreed to it, we had a great team in place and people who were around me who I knew would take on certain things that would help free up some of my time. And that was honestly the biggest reason why I felt comfortable moving forward in that. Right now our current president, Harrison Beecher, he just started his year as president.
He's also fairly young too, compared to some. Yeah,
he's very young, and his wife had a kid 2 weeks ago. So, but again, like when you have the right system in place, and you have a good vice president, a good CEO, et cetera, a good team who says, hey, when these things pop up, like we'll step in and cover that, then you can make it happen.
Yeah. So, okay, so you're talking about you have a team in place that was helping you obviously do your business, and you seem like, I mean, obviously if you're involved with sports and all these other things, you have to be a very time organized person. That's very clear to me just talking to you. You seem very organized. Tell us about your team and how you do your business now with Compass. Like, how many people are on your team?
Sure. So right now we have 7 people on our team. We just added an agent. So right now we have 4 agents, including myself. And then we have 3 administrative staff. So like Megan is our chief of staff. And then my wife, Jess, she runs operations. And then Taryn is our transaction manager. So last year, which was, our best year that we had in real estate, a lot of people did really well in this crazy, interesting pandemic real estate market.
Wild.
And last year we had like 2.5 agents. And I say 2.5 because it was myself and Gabby, like here on the ground full time. Melissa was half the year in Austin, Texas, half the year here. Her husband's military, so she spent 2 years in Austin. She's now back here full time, which is a godsend for our team. But we produced at a really high level last year, and we're looking to grow in that now that we have like the full team in place.
That's a really good ratio, 4 to 3. That's a really good ratio.
Yeah. That's a lot of like three staff assistant. Like, I was actually concerned with our team. We have 3 agents and we have 2 staff, and it's like, are we going overboard here? Yeah. But as soon as we had 2 working, I was like, oh my God, you can never go back.
You can free up that time from doing the things that you as a high paid agent, right? You get a very high hourly rate. Yeah. To be handling. Once you have that covered, it frees you up to do some amazing things.
Yeah.
So going back to the association, so you're rolling out as president. How many hours were you working that year? And with the free time now, did you allocate that family, friends, work? I mean, what are you doing with your newfound free time, so to speak?
Yeah. Yes. So at the time, that year, man, that was a year. The first month of 2019, when I was president of GCAAR, I let my assistant go, and it took us about, I think, 2 months to find someone good in that role.
You don't have someone lined up immediately.
It was a crazy start to the year. I mean, I had virtually no free time, and really just
2 little ones. That's crazy.
And 2 little ones, so it was tough. It was certainly tough, a tough start to the year. Not gonna sugarcoat it at all. And Jess, my wife, is amazing, because she picked up the slack in a lot of areas. And like fast forward to now, where I have all this additional time, I'm spending a lot of it, with my kids. I'm coaching my son's team, so that's practice twice a week plus games on the weekends. I'm now taking them to the pool, once a week over at Wilson High School, and just having some time to, for us to hang out, nice. without mom around, let her get a break. And then, I'm obviously going to a lot of Wizards games where I see you, Brent, often, and yes. Entertaining clients there.
That's an entirely separate podcast. Talking about the history of Wizards Bullets basketball that's a problem.
Yeah. Last night was disappointing. Not to go on a tangent here, but because I mentioned earlier, we left at halftime. We were up about 30-35. we get home, my little guy, 8-year-old, says, "Who won the game, Daddy?" I'm like, "I'm sure we won. Ask Google."
Right.
Of
And
course,
he's like,
of
"It was
course.
115 to 116." I'm like, "Google's got to be wrong. That's got to be like a game she quoted like from last week or last month." I'm like, I was blown away that they lost that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me in the least. I've been going to Wizards games since I was like a kid. My dad used to have season tickets when they were playing out at US Air Arena, Capitol Center.
Yep.
And he used to get, I grew up in Chevy Chase, and like we would get on that damn beltway at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and go all the way over there. I was a kid. I was like, I just go with my dad, go wherever he takes me.
Yep.
He was obsessed. My dad's still obsessed with the Wizards. And I'm like, Dad, why
Right.
have you done this to me?
Yeah.
Why did you do this?
Where'd you go to high school?
Go ahead.
Where'd you both go to high school?
I went to Duke Ellington.
Duke. Okay.
I'm from West Virginia, so I went to Princeton Senior High School, which is at the bottom of coal country, West Virginia.
Gotcha.
I played basketball intramurals when I got into college, but I didn't play basketball. I stopped playing in the 9th grade.
Okay.
Switched to football, but I'm a huge basketball advocate now. Still play 3 days a week, like yourself. We run around in circles. Like, I don't play with you directly, but like a lot of guys I play with you in some sort of fashion. And I think I saw this week or last week you were down at the Wizards. Like, you had your group. I don't know how you got down there, but playing on the Wizards floor, like just you guys.
Yeah. That was
awesome.
That was a special moment. So I basically asked, one of the staff there who I've known for a long time. I was like, hey, I'm turning 40 soon. Would love to have a night where I could play on the court, with a bunch of friends. And
That's awesome.
They were like, sure, we'll make it happen. And we found a date that worked. And I walk into the arena and look up, and it's like Team Koki versus the other guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, Great experience. And my legs were shot like for a day after that, because the court's longer than the courts that you and I play on. But yeah, great experience.
That's awesome.
Wait, you guys don't play on full regulation courts? What am I missing something?
So they're full courts, but the high school court is I think it's 10 feet shorter than the NBA court.
Yeah.
And even though it's 10 feet, it makes a huge difference.
Okay.
And it's also wider too.
It's wider.
Yeah.
And there's a depth perception there too, because all the courts I've ever played on, it's like it's the goals on the wall.
Yeah,
when you're playing at the arena, I mean, it's like you're looking through the glass to the stadium, and they're like, whoa, and it's like not uncommon to shoot an air ball your first shot.
Yeah. Yep.
Nothing to be embarrassed about, Brent. Don't worry.
Well, unless you're like Koki, you're down there in front of like 25,000 people shooting your foul shot or your 3-pointer. Because I think I've seen you down there before, and you made the shot, didn't you?
Yeah. That was actually the first round against Toronto. I think about 6 years ago in the playoffs. I had to make a layup, a foul shot, a 3-pointer, and a half court shot. And so I made all of them except for the half court shot. But yeah, that was
nice.
That was pretty
impressive.
That was pretty cool.
That was a basketball tangent that we were hoping for. So I had a question though. So you work with your wife is on your team, right?
Yeah.
Now, so that's another thing. I mean, there husband and wife teams. There were a lot more back when I first started in the business, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and we see less and less of that now. I'm not trying to put her on the spot, she's not in the room here. What's it like working with your wife? I mean, does that how does it interfere with your personal life, or do you guys have very specific roles on the team? So it's not butting heads, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I think it works well for us because she's not at all in sales. She's not licensed, and her background is in organizational management. So she runs our team sales meetings. Like next week, we're going to Salamander, for like a little team retreat. Nice. And she coordinates all that. All of our we'll do some team building activities. She's running that stuff for us. She runs the numbers, for the team, all of our sales volume. She tracks all of our transactions, et cetera. So not at all in sales, and so it works out pretty well. And then she's always worked from home. I've been in the office. Mm-hmm. And now in the pandemic, we have a new home office, so I'm here and she's in the house, so it works out.
That's good.
If we were both in sales, both together all the time, it would be very challenging for sure.
I always wondered about those old school husband-wife teams, and they're always together. And I was like, I don't know if that's healthy.
Yeah.
I really might not be healthy.
I think some of them have split. Like I'm thinking, just for myself, we went through a
Oh, I know
2-year
a few.
renovation in Capitol Hill, and we almost killed each other. I'm shocked that we're still married. I'm like,
Right.
couldn't imagine working with my wife. No offense, love her to death. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
like you said, different strokes for different folks. It works for you guys in different strata or different skill sets, and it works well. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's let's talk a little about technology in the business. Like what are some of the tools you guys are using? Like obviously you guys are using a CRM to manage things, I would assume. Like tell us about some of the technology tools you're using.
Yes. So that's actually a good question about technology and the CRM. So my wife also, at her previous job, she worked at the advisory board company over on M Street before they moved. And she basically got to a point where she was classified as a Salesforce engineer. And so we've used Salesforce for the last probably 11 years, and she manages that, right? If we need to make any changes to the platform, she can handle it, and that's been super helpful. And then outside of that, technology wise, our team communicates through Slack. Slack is our main means of communication for everything. So we have different channels for properties and for marketing and for the birthday cards that we do, which I think are pretty. Here, I'll actually show it to you. I think this is like probably the best thing that we do, and we've done it for forever. So every year we create a new birthday card, and this was last year's birthday card, and it has a funny image of the team, and then a little message inside. We're extra animated, about your birthday because it's an animation, right? And then write a little to the people, and then the secret sauce though is the crispy $2 bill, right?
So you send this to all your clients.
Everybody gets it. And
sweet.
Nothing at all real estate, right? It's just like a birthday card.
With a crisp $2 bill. That's like grandma giving you the crisp $2 bill or something.
Old school there.
People will call me and be like, yo, Koki, where'd you get the $2 bill from? I'm like, the bank. Like seriously, like they're like, where do you get those from? Like the bank still has lots of $2 bills. But yeah, like people love it, and it's a great way to stay in touch without like saying, "Hey, Brent, you looking to buy or sell a house?" But it helps keep you top of mind with people, and is one of my most favorite things that we do for our people. And then technology again. So Compass, is known for all the technology and has a million tools. I think that what works best is what you actually use, and for us. Outside of the Compass has a CRM as well, which is separate from our Salesforce CRM that we use, and then we have collections, which is like any company has, their means of creating a search platform, for their clients. I think it's a pretty cool platform. Reminds me of like a real estate Pinterest board that clients are connected to, and it's probably my favorite platform that we have within the company. But there's a million things that you can use, and I try to like actually minimize the amount of technology that I'm tied to.
Okay.
I just took a note. That's very well said, and it goes deep if you think about it. The best technology is the one that you use, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's so well said. It's so spot on in our industry. It's like you can follow up balls, whatever you want to say, and you have to use it. You have to use it.
Exactly.
There's only so much time in the day to deal with all that. So I think it helps that Salesforce obviously is a pretty powerful CRM platform. So if you had someone who's already at like an expert level using, that's a pretty big leg up to be able to use all the power of that tool. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a major advantage we have.
So go ahead, Brent. Sorry.
No, I mean, so going back, so you started the business, or when it clicked, it was going back, focusing on folks who know you. Mm-hmm. So how are you, moving forward, 15 years, what are you doing to stay in contact with them aside from the $2 bill birthday card, which is very smart.
Yeah. So, I think there's so many reasons why you can follow up with somebody, and it's a PGA contact. And we kind of coined that a few months ago. PGA is personal, it's genuine, and it's authentic. Right. And people really latch on to that. If they sense any kind of like, you're doing it for a certain reason, then they don't really respond well to that. So a few things that we contact folks on, like their home anniversary is a very easy one. The birthdays, they get the birthday card. They also get a birthday call or birthday video from us as well. Again, it's most folks don't call on birthdays. Like they send a text message saying, hey, happy birthday, but if you send a video or call someone, it gets through all the noise that they're receiving from social media, from Facebook, messages, etc. We do an annual referral brunch where we invite everyone who sent a referral in the last year to brunch. We give them a nice little gift, and so it's a way to connect with them face to face.
That's nice
for a nice little meal. We do the same thing for agents. So every agent that we worked with in the last year that we had a positive transaction with, we'll invite them as well to lunch. And it's simply to say thank you. Thank you for working with us. Thank you for helping us close the transaction. We're not recruiting. There's no agenda at all. And people appreciate that as well. I mentioned before Wizards games. We have season tickets to Wizards games, so we offer the seats to our clients all the time, and it's a nice little perk to have. We got nice seats, and you get access to food and drinks. So that's another way to stay in contact with people. We also do just different communication, right? So right now on our Instagram page, I think this is one of our better posts that we've had. We're doing a contest for frontline workers, and so you simply need to like the post and mention what you do, and then we're going to give 3 year subscriptions to either Headspace or some other app for mental health. And the engagement level on that has been crazy. People are it's a really important thing, right? And everyone who's in that space, is dealing with just tons of new patients and issues and deaths.
A lot of stress.
A lot of stress. And so Megan, our team, had a great idea to do this post. I'm like, it's brilliant. Let's do it. And so we posted yesterday, and it's had a lot of engagement. So yeah, I think just trying to find people, where they are, and again, to be authentic, be genuine, and we're not by the way, anybody looking to buy or sell real estate. It's hey, let's actually connect. Let's connect and have a conversation about life and see how you're doing. And they know when the time's right, when they need you, you're the resource. They'll contact you.
Those are all really great things and very personal, and it's coming from the right person. That's good stuff. That's really smart.
Thank you.
I think I want to be Koki's client, Brent.
I do too. I do too. I'm impressed. Jesus. I want to get his seats for the Wizards because his are better than mine. Right down there with all the food and drink right on the floor.
Sounds awesome.
Well, Koki, I don't have any other questions. I don't know anything you want to share. Max, you have any other questions? We can go into.
Well, I always like to ask. Koki has done obviously a great job. He's been working with the association, and he's been. You're taking other realtors out to lunches. This guy is really connected with the brokerage community, and he understands other agents clearly. What would you tell? What do you tell young agents? I know you probably you have to talk to young agents if you're still doing all this kind of stuff. What do you tell young agents who are like, Koki, you're very successful. You just gave us a lot of great secrets and great insight. But what's something you would tell a young agent now when they're just starting out? How would they get started? What's the best thing to do right now?
Yeah. So a couple of things. We are in a sales business, and you need to have clients, right, in order to have transactions that you can close on. And I think a lot of people get into business. They're like, oh my gosh, I need to master the contract or master the buyer agency agreement, et cetera. And to me, you need to make connections with people who are looking to buy and sell real estate. Because once you have a client who's engaged and looking to move forward in the process, then the mentor you're working with or the team leader that you're working with, they will help assist you along the way, through that process. So every person that I've ever hired on my team, I tell all of them that they need to first, create a list of all the people that they know, right, from school, previous employment, from their church, their barber, et cetera, and get all their information, right? So their home address, their phone number, email address, and this will be your initial sales force. This will be the people who will help you build a real estate business. So I think that's the first thing. The second is that, in order to be able to advise people, you can't you can't be so committed to selling a house that you don't give them the right advice that they need to succeed in buying or selling a property, right? I'm sure you guys both have had transactions where the agent is so committed to getting the sale done that they start doing things that are not what their client actually wants to do, right? It's like Brent, submits the offer and it's lower than the asking price, and the person's like, oh, this won't work. Like, you haven't even talked to your client yet to see what's going to happen.
Right. Yep.
Your client's response, and they're already like emotionally attached to the outcome. So I think when you're able to separate yourself from the client's needs and focus on what they need and not what you need, then you'll have amazing success in real estate. And you have to be consistent. You can't prospect for 2 days, get 5 leads, convert 4, and then just rest on your laurels. It's not going to work. It's got to be consistent.
Yeah, it's all
every single day. And when you carve out that time and do it consistently, then your pipeline will always be full. You always have leads and opportunities to convert to new business. But you have to be consistent, you have to be diligent, and you can't give up. When things get hard or when you get busy, you can't give up on the prospect.
Well, I got to say something about like listening to clients' needs. This is something that's always evolving too as an agent, because your own experience sometimes gives you bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the things that happen to you in your personal business, the things that happen to other clients, and then you could be working with a seller or a buyer, and you're already thinking like, well, this outcome would be good or this outcome would be bad. The seller or the buyer could have a completely different idea about that.
Yep.
And like this the other day, we put a new listing on, we got a low offer. I mean, I definitely thought it was low, and the seller did too. But the seller had this concern that, like if they rejected this offer or they didn't counter it, a certain way, that I was going to be pissed off at them.
Yeah.
The seller.
Yeah.
And I said, no, no way. Like whatever you want to do, I get it. And I'm happy. I am happy to be working on it. I always say that. And I never take anything for granted, because it's their decision. It's what they want. It's their desire. I'm not there to get in the way of that. If their desires have been met and they're telling me they're happy about it, or even if they're not happy about it and they're still being met, then that's the objective.
Right.
That's what I always think about.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that.
So, Brent, you want to hit him with some rapid fire questions? Wrap it up.
Rapid 5. Pretty painless here. We're going to do a little bit of basketball. Who is your favorite NBA player?
Current favorite player in the NBA would have to be old man LeBron James.
LeBron James. And he's coming to town in March. That'll be a fun one.
Yep.
Well, he's like a legend, and he's still playing. So.
Yeah, he's a beast. It's like him and Tom Brady. It's fun. Case of Benjamin Buttons are going backwards in time.
Yeah.
Outside of the Wizard, what's your favorite NBA team?
Outside of the Wizard, my favorite NBA team. Oof. That's a good one. I would say the Lakers, and the reason is, besides the fact that they have LeBron, they have a few great legends on the team, and a couple of folks that I've actually worked with closely.
So growing up, I guess both you and Max, you answered earlier. You a Wizard fan since a little kid, but like Koki,
unfortunately for life, I am. Yes.
Same with you, Koki.
Yeah, when I was young, I was a Bullets fan. Definitely was focused on Jordan, during his era, of course.
Yeah.
But
this is our podcast, so I'm just gonna start talking about what I want to talk about. I want to say that one of my favorite Bullet Wizards of all time was Chris Webber, and when they traded Chris Webber, I was pissed. Okay. And when he went out to Sacramento, I had the NBA pass. I was still living in my parents' basement, and we had the NBA pass, and I would stay up late just to watch the Kings. I was still obsessed. He was one of my favorite all-time players, and that was a classic. There's your classic Bullets Wizards history in a nutshell. It's like you got one of these amazing players, drafted, incredible guy, and likable. Everyone liked him.
Mm-hmm.
My mom loved Chris Webber, and they traded. So sorry.
They had a great team too with Vlade and Mike Bibby, Stojakovic. That was a nice one they had.
Yeah,
White Chocolate.
Yep.
Was he with him? He was from West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our I think our school played him in high school. It was fun because he had Randy Moss on his team. That's a totally different topic there.
But they were awesome. That Sacramento team was awesome, and they they gave the Lakers a little bit of run for their money in Portland those years. Those were fun years. So anyway, basketball tangent number 2. Sorry.
One more on that though, Koki. Are your little kids, are they growing up Wizard fans?
They are. Yeah. They both really enjoy going to the games. My son got Rui's shooting sleeve.
Oh wow!
Because he had on the Rui jersey.
Yeah.
The game, walked up to him, took his sleeve off, and gave it to him. And my son was like, "Thank you."
That is awesome. What's your favorite vacation spot?
Favorite vacation spot, I would say is, some good questions. Like easy vacation spot, I would say is probably Bethany Beach. And it's funny. The one thing I love about Bethany Beach is it has the outdoor court, like right off the center promenade. And it's awesome to play there. Everyone watches the games and stuff. But yeah, Bethany Beach, and then like places that I've traveled to that I love would be South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Have you ever played at Berry Farms?
Yeah. So I played against Gilbert Arenas, Deshaun Stevenson. This is back in like 05-ish, 06 timeframe. I played there for a few years. I'll never forget the first game I played there. My coach called me. His name was I think his name was like Pig or something. Pig or Fats was his name. Anyways, he called me. He's like, "Hey, Koki, when you get here, make sure to park by the exit. So in the event people start shooting,
I was about to say.
I was like, huh?" and then like get down there and it's like people are like selling alcohol and stuff, and like the cops are there, and it was cool. I mean, it's a great environment, for basketball. Absolutely loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Not the shooting part, but everything else is that's crazy. So what book would you recommend to our listeners?
So books. All right. So listeners, I imagine you got a lot of real estate folks here. Ninja Selling, I think, is a great book. I actually just finished reading it with my team, and everything about real estate and how you should handle clients. Another book that we read as a team is The Big Leap. The Big Leap is a great book. I actually have it right here. See all my little notes I have in it. Yeah.
Great. I think I've read that. I've read that twice. We have like Ninja Selling is mandatory course for Sotheby's agents now, and we started doing that a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that's great stuff. That's quintessential real estate stuff.
Yeah.
Last question here. Any predictions for 22 as we're just getting started?
Yeah. So I think that this year is going to be a robust year for real estate. Obviously, we know that rates are going to be increasing, and inventory. It is virtually impossible for us, even a huge uptick of inventory, for us to have enough homes to support the level of demand that we have right now in the marketplace. So I think that this year will be a very strong year, and probably a more hot market than people are expecting. I think it's gonna be a good year.
Hey, Brent, I think we need to come back to like all of our 2022 predictions at the end. Like when we do our end of the year,
you should
wrap up. We need to go out. Let's just see what Koki said and see if he was right or wrong. Let's see what Jeff Wilson said. You know what I mean? Like literally hold everyone accountable for these predictions, because people love making predictions and then no one ever looks back. So we're going to do that.
Predictions sure to go wrong, as one of those talk show hosts say.
Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I don't know how this market, there's so much buyer demand. I don't see how you would have. Someone said the other day there would need to be like 3 houses available on every block in DC to start catching up with things, and it's just never going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. All right, Koki.
Well, Koki, one quick thing here. As a token of our appreciation, we're very thankful that you came onto the show. And is there a charity of your choosing? Because we do a small donation in your favor or in your name to the charity of choice.
So that's awesome. Thank you very much for that. I really, really appreciate that. Yes, Horton's Kids, without a doubt. And I actually will forward you a link, because I'm right now in the midst of doing a fundraiser for them that ends on Saturday, which is my 40th birthday. So,
got it.
Thank you.
All right, Koki, thank you so much for coming on, spending time with us today. We really appreciate it.
All right, you guys have a great
Thanks,
day.
Koki.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to Keyed In with your hosts, Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. For more information on selling your home, find us online at keyedinpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe to Keyed In on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Keyed In Podcast, at Rabin Max, and at Brent E. Jackson. And follow Max on TikTok at MaxwellRabin_properties.